Hey, Gumbeaux Fam, welcome back for another episode. I'm yours truly, and I have a special guest with us that you probably already saw from the title. This episode is finding you in a good space. I know it, I can feel it. My hope is that you're ready for the conversation we're going to have this evening, in hopes that this helps someone. I hopes that the transparency that myself and my co-host for the evening and for life will continue to have as we build and grow towards like uncovering the ability to grow more and more as it relates to health, as it relates to body image. And so without further ado, I reintroduce to some and introduce to shout out to the brand new people of the Gumbo Fam. I'm so glad you chose to join us. I see you running those numbers up, and I can't say thank you enough. I can contribute a lot to that to my co-host as well for sharing the show, just doing what he does best. But you know him as Scooter. And tonight he is presenting himself as Scooter Fit. Go ahead, Sam.
What's going on, world? How y'all doing?
Audible claps. All right, so in rightful form, I'm going to be somewhat interviewing my co-host here, but tonight we're going to have a conversation that's related to and around body image. Something that people have read, seen, saw about. You can Google it right now to see the formal definition of it, but it is something very near to us, I would definitely say, because we're dealing with it, going through it. I want to start off with that. Body dysmorphia, right? A c- I could, as a clinician, pick up a DSM-5 and give you the symptomology of it, right? And you could, as just a everyday person that has went from obesity to health, to a healthy weight, to super active, tell us, of course, what that means to you. But let's start off with that. Let's start off with, what do you, how would you rather define body dysmorphia? What would you say to somebody that was just like, what is that?
So, my definition of body dysmorphia is somebody on the outside looks a certain way, but on the inside, it's the same person you were before you started your journey or, made the change. Um, as of maybe 4 years, 3, 4 years, I've been on a journey. I'm gonna say 5 years. Last 5 years, I've been on a journey, and I've made tremendous goals. Uh, I've dropped a lot of weight. I've seen.
How much?
I say my total loss. I've lost over 160 pounds. Um, and that's from 2020 to now. I think my lowest weight I've seen on the scale was at least 198. So basically, I'm just trying to get back to it, but I have severe body dysmorphia. As somebody that's coming to you that has lost 360 pounds, I do not see the person I am outside. I see the person that I always and once was at 360 pounds.
And I'm just going to respond and answer that question too before I ask you another. It's just that body dysmorphia to me, without leaning too far into my clinical background, I'm definitely going to say it's like walking around in a suit. You know what I'm saying? It's like I always visualize myself being able to, like, I've asked even before I started losing weight that if I could just unzip my whole body and like step out. I feel like there was always something, and still do feel like there's somebody on the inside of me that I'm wearing this body. You know what I mean? Like I'm carrying it around, like, but on somebody else on the inside is trying to get out. And I do describe, I guess, what people would consider body dysmorphia in that way is just feeling trapped, feeling like my body is a shell and like something I wear and I have to put on every day. You know what I mean? But it doesn't it feels just like something you would wear. You want to take it off. Like a jacket is kind of heavy after a while you wear it, or if you're wearing it in a inappropriate weather, it don't feel good. It don't feel comfortable. So if I'm wearing a bodysuit or a jacket or snowsuit in the summer, I'm hot. Like if you have to visualize it that way, I feel completely heavy. I feel uncomfortable
Right.
in my own skin, and that is truly, honestly, it's not a great feeling. This is kind of sad a little bit. But with that being said, your highest weight was 360. You shortchanged yourself with the number though, because you got down to 198. So, I mean, you were close to almost losing 200 pounds. So, definitely we're in the 180, 190 weight loss. You can't take that from you when you talk about how much you've lost just because you might not be at that 198 now. You've lost it before. So, I think that's where another part of body dysmorphia that you have to acknowledge is that you will never give yourself the full credit you probably deserve because of, I'm not going to say shame, but maybe because you haven't celebrated in that area of weight. Like weight always felt like a chore. It always felt like a burden. So if you lost the weight, you know, you're not giving yourself the full, pat on the back, if so to speak. So I want to move to, now that you know what it's defined as, explain to me how does it make you feel, your current weight. You don't have to tell me your current weight, but just like every day now knowing that this is a thing, they call it this. What would you say? How do you feel every day waking up, leading into the goals that you probably still have? Explain that to me. Your mindset.
So, uh, my body dysmorphia um is 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 different. I look in the mirror, even though like you see the progress pictures of me. I post a lot of progress pictures on my social media workout page, and you can see like, okay, like you've made big changes, but what I see in the mirror um is who I once was, and
How is that possible?
it's the small things, it's something you may see that, was like, it may be something for, okay, I say man boobs, right? So say you've been working on trying to get those gone, and you've made progress on those, but your body dysmorphia, you want them completely gone. But they're around because it's a slow progress, you know. They're leaving, but your body dysmorphia want them gone ASAP, and it doesn't work like that. So you pick apart yourself in the mirror when you look at yourself.
Can you explain what you do in the mirror?
I pick myself apart. I look at, I just look at my flaws. I still have a lot of work to do as far as getting the body I want. Um, I know eventually it'll come. Um, but I find stuff wrong. It's like, it's just, I want the stomach. I want it completely gone. You know, I don't really have like loose skin issues, but um, yeah, I look in the mirror and it's like, bro, what am I doing wrong for this not to be gone? Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I know it don't work like that, but you still gotta put the work in. But it's something that's fighting against the process of it all.
Talk to me about you saying the body dysmorphia. It's not just body, it's also food.
Right, right.
So how do you feel about food today?
Um, man, I try not to restrict myself from certain things, but I do. Um, it can be sometimes I have rice, bread, and sometimes after those meals, I feel terrible about having it. And it's not even a large consumption of it. It's just the fact that I've had carbs. I'm not an eliminator of carbs. I'm not keto or you know carnivore or paleo or none of those kind of diets. But it's just like I feel like carbs make you feel full, make you feel bloated. And that's just in my mind. Cause I know carbs, you need carbs, cause is carbs give you energy during your workouts and stuff like that. But to me, it's like, man, like it's hard, and I know like it's not a lot that I'm eating, but somehow, some way, I still feel bad in my mind that I've had it.
I kind of want you to also go deeper into your relationship with the scale. You told us about your body and how you attack yourself, basically, almost like what you were probably afraid to call it, but it is self hate, just
Mhm.
kind of picking yourself apart. I know you call it that, and other people will name a thing a different thing. You also mentioned your relationship with food, like carbs scare you as much as you probably don't want to use that language. It is. It's something that you would like, man, I don't want to eat this. I feel it's a sense of guilt once
Mhm.
you consume it. So tell me how your relationship with numbers are when it comes to body dysmorphia.
Um, So the scale is not my friend at all.
Why is that?
Oh, okay. So I mean, you get on the scale and you look for a particular number. Um, say Monday, you may go hard in the gym. You know, you come, you go, you lift heavy. Lot of water retention in your muscles. Lot of inflammation in your muscles, and you go to get on that scale the next day to kind of see. I figured I went down because I went hard in the gym. Sometimes that number goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it freaks you out because it's like, bro, what am I doing to gain weight? And then 3 days later, maybe a day and a half, that number goes down. Um, the scale is a tricky thing. They try to tell you stay away from it. They tell you take progress pictures. Measure yourself with a tape measure, stuff like that. But yeah, the scale, I tell you, man, at was one point I used to get on the scale every day just to see like, hey, is everything going right? Everything going right? Even even on days where I know I've had a little too much fun. I get on the scale knowing like that ain't the right thing to do because you got water retention that you're still holding on to, and
What makes you do that?
I don't know. It's a maybe it's a sense of validation.
Or a form of punishment? You ever thought about it like that?
I have um just to see like, hey, look, bro, you working hard, but also it's easy to go back to where you came from. Just seeing that number sometimes go up 10 pounds it'll freak you out. Um, and like I say, most of the time, some of that's water retention. But it does, and that's why they like a lot of people will tell you, stay away from the scale because it's not your friend.
Yeah. I mean, with you saying these things, the scale is not my friend. Do you feel like you're putting more power towards these kind of tangible things that you have no control of versus taking the journey for what it is and taking your wins for what they are? You can't take them from you. It's almost like medals you've earned. You can't strip them from you. You haven't done anything wrong to you know what I'm saying, to diminish all the things that you've done. So, is that fair to you? Is my question. Do you think all of what you're saying is that fair?
In hindsight, it's not because I've worked my tail off for the last past 5 years, and a lot of people would say, the things that you have done in the last past 5 years is nearly impossible for certain people to do, you know. But it's hard to give myself grace in the sense that you know I want more. I'm hard on myself, uh, very hard on myself because I know what I'm capable of in my mind. And that I don't want to settle because I'm giving myself grace. I feel like I'm settling when I give myself grace, knowing that I got a goal, I want to reach it, and once I reach that goal, then I'm able to give myself grace. But until then, I feel like giving myself just the smallest amount of grace is be like, okay, you think you've done something when you have not reached what you really set out for. And I know that's not the way to do it because in hindsight, that's a setup for failure because you're setting yourself up for unrealistic goals. As I tell people a lot, like, hey, these unrealistic goals, you can't set them because you're gonna set up yourself for failure. And I try not to do. As much as I try not to like be hard on myself, I give myself grace. It's hard.
Before kind of going down the tunnel of why it's hard, I'm kind of wanting really curious to know what are you doing to preserve your mental health, because that's it sounds as if it's taking a toll on you, that you are in this form of punishment. As much as the listeners will definitely be able to determine whether or not that's something that they can hear as well. But the scale, like even weighing yourself after a bad meal or a cheat day, or um not giving yourself the proper just due when you've lost over 180 pounds. You've done that already. You've reached that milestone, so you know it's possible. Instead of staying in the possibility, you move to the negativity really quickly. And like you said, I don't deserve grace. So some of these things are coming out of your mouth that I'm hoping you're hearing yourself say and reflect back. And I hope you even hear this episode and reflect back too. But what are you doing to preserve your mental health right now?
Um, just staying consistent with my workouts. When I work out, I get like a mental clarity. Like my mind is at ease. I feel great after a workout. Even days where I have to push myself. Once I'm mid workout, I'm like, okay, I can get to the end. But it's always a like a mental clarity once I end a workout. But it's like even though on these rest days, I think that's where it's like I really kind of tear myself apart. Uh, which you need rest days to let your body heal and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I think long as I stay consistent, uh, and try not to just do too much, I think that what helps me with my mental.
You've been a consistent guest on the podcast, right?
Mhm.
We're family here.
Right.
We put all of our ingredients in one pot. And so somebody else just heard you say the thing that you rip yourself apart for, which is working out, you run to. I'll treat my mental health with more workouts. That doesn't seem or sound healthy. And that's not the only thing you're doing. I would love for you to tell the men that are listening to the pod, you do seek therapy. Are you comfortable with me asking that?
Yes.
You seek therapy.
Mhm.
Um, I would love to hear how that has contributed to, or has it not contributed to, your well being, and also what you're currently doing or venturing to get seek more help in that area when it comes to. And I think you've taken a recent step that I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, but of venturing out into a new thing that you haven't tried before. So could you speak to that piece too, because it's whole body when we're talking mental and physical health.
Yes. I seek counseling. Um, for mental health reasons. But yeah, I mean, it gives that also gives you a mental clarity because you can, outside of a friend, um, this is a person that's not there to judge you. You can tell, your problems too. Your past traumas, yeah, anything. But yeah, and I've been seeking counseling for maybe like 3 years now. Um, I've made a lot of progress, far as like dealing with trauma issues, and we've getting to the thick of the part of the weight issue, and how could I give myself grace more, but yeah, I've recently scheduled an appointment to see a nutritionist. I feel like that may be the height of why I feel how I feel. I feel like I've got everything, far as the workout, the discipline, the consistency going with that. So the next step is to figure out the nutrition facts. Like, and I feel like, that may be what's keeping me from seeing my goals. It's giving me body dysmorphia. Because it's not I have discipline out of this world. There's days where I wake up at on Saturdays. I wake up at what 5 o'clock after working all week just to be to a class that start at 6:15. That's the easy part. You know. But yeah, I hope that my new adventure that I'm on with this nutritionist, dietitian, puts me in the step or sets me up for success that's needed.
I think what's important to bring to listeners here is that a lot of what you said, thank you for your number one for sharing, but just the fact that a lot of what you said, people don't often realize that it's a journey and it could be in different phases. Because someone would have questioned, man, why you didn't go see a nutritionist first? Like, it seemed like diet would have been the first thing you would have done back in 2020 when you started your journey. Like, what am I eating? What does this food do? But you were doing your own kind of self research and self independent kind of modeling. You cut back, you did more protein, you did a lot of substitutions that worked for you. And I think where you are now is what people and what fitness trainers and would call a plateau, right? Where you've hit your maximum with, or maintenance, I should say, with the diet that your body's accustomed to. So it is in its sustained state, which means like body, like, oh, I know what to do with this. I know exactly. We did this for years. So the strides that you've had is what you have. You maintained your weight. You know what that is. Your body at this point probably needs a jolt. And I commend you for going into the nutritionist, because if you tell the nutritionist your goal, which is a new goal, because I don't think you knew back in 2020 that you wanted to be lean. And I think what I've been seeing from the outside looking in is that you've bulked up a good bit. Your traps even differently. Like you were saying, man, I don't see my clavicle no more. That's because you're not lean. you're building. And I think when you and anyone listening come to terms with the type of body that they want, then you can actually achieve it. I think you're still searching for what you want to look like, but I think at the end of the day, number for you really is where your driver is. And the unfortunate part is that it is a number, because you can, you if you hit 180 and you start looking like 50 Cent was playing their role or what have you, what is that going to do for you? You know what I'm saying? What is that going to do for your well-being then? Oh man, what did I do? But then understanding, this is the core part for me, that weight loss and weight management is a journey that you are the main character of. You are in control because you're the director of it as well, so you can add, subtract, whatever you decide to. The other part of it is, if somebody gave you a deadline, meaning if God forbid someone told you, you're going to die next month, I think if you knew your term date, you would treat every day differently than what you do now. I think you would give yourself the grace because you knew you didn't have the time. And I think you need to start thinking about that. Every day is precious and every day is not promised. And if we, I'm not going to say just you, but if we begin to see that how life is so fragile, right? And the point of it is just, I guess, not guaranteed. How much more would you love yourself? How much more would you give yourself? And would that number even matter?
I don't, um, at that point, I don't think it would. Um, it would make me have a different outlook on life. Uh, just saying, I was able to do the things I've done over the last 5 years is incredible. You know, just starting out on my own. Just like really, just it was. I can give everything I've done the last 5 years to God, man. Because without Him, none of this would be possible. Um, I'm sure it was Him that gave me the jolt that just to get up and just start moving. You know. Um, but yeah, I think it would be different if the outcome, was at that circumstance. And I would have to say, yeah, man, look, give yourself, you've come a long way. You know, it's been a long journey. It's been a healthy one. But definitely, I would definitely have to give myself way more grace than what I do. You know, and I'm learning. It's hard when you when you're the person and you know what you're capable of, and that you've done everything to not go back and to only like feel trapped. You know what I'm saying? That's the hard part. And I know as somebody that's been at it for 5 years that bro, this is not easy. I even said to myself like, yeah, uh 360 meal plan ain't like the new person that you want to be meal plan or whatever. So, I'm just, like I said, I'm excited to this next step of this journey, is going to be a great one. And I hope, I pray, I really pray to God that, you know, that this helps me with my, my hate for myself, my inner self, because I still see my outer self, as like, bro, you really done a great job, especially especially when I'm working out, man. Like I'm. I'm in a mirror, like I see myself. I see that outer shell, like bro, you killing it, you know. But it's those slow times where it's like, bro, like hey, we really gotta push a little harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, cause dude, I feel like, hey, bro, you probably like a chip away from being old boy back at 360. But yeah, man, I'm definitely on my this next quest of my journey, bro, is just to give myself more grace, the inner me, anyway. It's a tough one though. I've been obese for years, and to not be that, it is scary because you see so many stories about people going back to being obese. I think that's another reason I'm so, hard on myself as well.
Well, my challenge to you would be to start living like you have a term date, whatever that looks like. I need to. My first challenge would to be start thinking about that, because the way you spoke just now about yourself is like, man, I would tell him thank you, and then thank God. Those that gratitude I need you to use as your new attitude towards your weight loss. You cannot excuse and dismiss what you've done. The other thing is that during that time downtime, anybody that's listening that have the same issues with you, that you express, I would strongly encourage journaling. And I know for men that is, even research supports that you all do not do that as often as maybe your female counterparts. Writing is so important. There's strong male writers, I do know that, but it's just as they don't report it as often, and that could be some kind of flaw in research as well. But you do need to pick up a pen as often as you can, because at those times, idle mind. So you got to think about it like that too. The other thing that I wanted to discuss with you on the pod and kind of get your raw reaction was some research I had done, because some controversial statements were made by Mike Epps recently on Breakfast Club, and he had said something about SNAP benefits and how some people don't need they food stamps back. He said it in regards to this little piece that he said that was like, I got to do my research. He said, you all are eating the wrong things anyway. That's why mental illness is so prevalent in the areas of people that receive SNAP benefits. Now, mind you, I'm like, you can't just throw a statement out like that and expect somebody like me or anybody else to just take that for face value. I'm like, what is the connection? I went look it up. What is the connection with mental illness and gut health? What is that? So I went do my research, and I did find that there is some empirical studies, research for real, for the past 10 to 15 years, where scientists have studied gut health, what they call gut brain axis, and the connection that science says is to mental health. So what you and I are experiencing as far as body dysmorphia is concerned, you ready to hear about it? And I'm gonna get your raw reaction, because I asked you, I said, babe, where do you think serotonin is produced? And if I were to ask that to anybody, just randomly, they'd be like, man, I don't know, the heart. Like you said, I don't know. And somebody else might say, no, I know exactly where it's produced. But then, to be honest, I think I even thought it was the brain. Okay. Our gut and brain are in communication constantly. That's what the research was also stating, that our stomachs talk to our brain, and our brains talk to our stomachs. And it's through the vagus nerve, it's through the immune system, it's through what's called microbiome. I didn't know what that was, but it's trillions of bacteria that lives in our gut. There's good gut health bacteria, excuse me, and bad bacteria. Now, what that says is that this bacteria is chemically and electrically stimulated by the food we eat, what we choose to eat. It regulates your mood. It gives a stress response. It also helps with your cognition. So some people that do these fast and all that, you realize, man, I'm so sharp, and because you're taking away some of what we would consider like gluten heavy foods and things like that. The empirical study also talked about the differences between gut bacteria that causes depression and anxiety. Now, where the study got kind of confusing is because they don't know what causes the other. They just know that they play on each other. That basically signals go to the brain and then it goes back to the stomach. But a lot of the study for microbiome in animals and also in humans, high levels of anxiety, high levels of depression for bad, what is considered, quote, bad gut health. When people were reporting themselves as depressed, it showed that they were eating certain foods. Now, we couldn't trace it back unless they reported it, but foods that were promoting inflammation. So if your legs were swelling, or you holding on to a lot of liquids, and or a lot of just I don't know what else to say, but just like if people were reporting legs or congestive heart failure, stuff like that, they had issues with their neurotransmitters because their gut was off. 95% of serotonin is made in the stomach. I thought it was the brain, but the stomach sends it to our brain. So 95% of serotonin, which is the feel good, so you release it when you have sex, you release it when you eat ice cream, you release it when you go to work out. When you working out, your stomach is producing that. That's crazy, right? Now, what would you do differently if you knew your gut balanced everything in your body chemistry? So the difference is you probably treat your gut differently and you probably put different stuff in it. So I'll tell you this. This is what research also said, that the gut is a two-way street. That, of course, yes, poor gut health contributes to mental illness, but mental illness does worsen gut health as well. So they play on each other. If you have chronic stress, if you have autoimmune conditions, if you had a history of trauma, issues with the gut was honestly, because they tested it, it was you just had a higher rate of those microbiomes, right? The other thing was mentioning that digesting your food was slightly different too. The way your body digests foods changes as a result of that serotonin not being released. And so, of course, I'm like, okay, you telling me all this stuff. How do I fix it? You know what I mean? Because, of course, now that you're telling me serotonin is produced, 95% of it is produced in the gut. How do I produce more of it? If it's a good thing for my brain, right? To make me feel good about myself. Digestion with food, or food digestion, y'all, if you are not taking a probiotic, or if you don't eat foods that are high in probiotics, yogurt, and maybe some kimchi, and things that people don't oftentimes eat, but a lot of sour, tangy foods, even apple cider vinegar, the things that have a lot of bacteria in it, help our gut, right? And so it's helpful that it's not only going to help with the inflammation, but you're feeding those good bacteria in your stomach. So you're going to feel good. It's going to release more serotonin. Of course, being more active will do that too. The other thing is you're triggering these, like, I'm more happy because, right? And your body can do those things when you're at rest if we're eating the right things. So one thing is hormone related as well, because hormones and then the production of that. If we're not taking multivitamins in some way, or we're deficient with our vitamin D, as African Americans we are. So if we're not taking a daily vitamin, I know people are like, man, I'm at the age where I have to hit vitamin. You're gonna have to take those vitamins. The feel good things that they mentioned as far as healthy gut: leafy greens, berries. You're going to the nutrition, and so you can fact check all this. Bananas, which you hate, garlic and onions, oats, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut. So people that put that on their hot dogs, maybe not eating the beefy hot dog, but put that to sauerkraut. Pickles, beans, lentils, right? These are going to be fermented fibers that really help you release that happy microbiome. Okay, what they want you to reduce is the bad guys in your stomach, because remember what I said, there's good guys and there's bad guys. The bad bacteria in the stomach is, we feed it sugar, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna feel good for a moment. We talked about that ice cream, but we gonna feel depressed. greasy fried foods, artificial sweeteners, which we use a lot of in our home, by the way, because we try to do sugar substitution, excessive alcohol, mm, and high processed snacks. So if we can reduce that, we can reduce the inflammation in our body. We can also stop the disruption of serotonin because it wants to be produced. It wants to be. So if we're able to help our body by hydration and movement, protecting your peace in some way, shape, or form, and getting the medical support in which you're doing right now. So after hearing all of this, I'm going to say this and then ask you what your thoughts are. After hearing all of that shebang, your gut is the factory that makes your mood, not your brain. So when you take care of your gut, you take care of your mind. And the moment you start feeding yourself better physically, emotionally, and spiritually, your body starts fighting for you instead of against you. So what do you think about that?
It's a pretty cool fact, man. That's something I never thought of, never heard of, honestly. I know we talk a lot about cortisol, um, but yeah, definitely, definitely that was a real neat fact, man. But yeah, definitely would look into better options and making sure my gut health is top notch. Tell you what, I tell you, man, August. I want to say this had to be like August of 23. We did a 30-day fruit fast, fruit and veggie fast, like no meat. You know, it was no processed foods, none of that. And when I tell you, that's probably the best I've ever felt uh in my life, man. Like it felt, I felt like mentally clear, bro. Like I felt lighter. Um, yeah, and I've done plenty water fast. I do the watermelon fast. Like I do those. But that fruit and veggie fast that we did for 30 days was probably one of the best that I've ever done. And it it really it really cleared your mental, you know. But yeah, it's really a neat fact, man. Most definitely.
I'd have to agree. And if anybody's listening that wants to challenge themselves, I strongly encourage exactly what he said. Just to do some type of fast. And for those, it doesn't even have to be for those that are like, oh, no, y'all trying to convert us into Jesus people. Listen to me. It is rooted in faith practices. But at the end of the day, anybody would tell you that fasting does the body good. Research, if you're a scientific person, things that are research and empirical study based is that fasting gives your body time to catch up. The foods we eat in the United States of America is overly and heavily processed for a reason because it's cheaper, it's something that they can mass produce, and at times it keeps us sick. It keeps doctors employed, and some doctors even tell you to stay away from certain things depending on their holistic practices. So at the end of the day, my strong encouragement is to be Gumbeaux Fam. As much as we love our gumbo, man, try our best to make things with our hands. Get in the kitchen. Fast food is not always the best, method. I haven't, unless you're going to somewhere where they're making things real and raw for you if you get meals prepped. But I find myself in the kitchen more, and when you make things with the things that we just mentioned, I think that's the best thing as well. Fasting gives your body time to rest and catch up. Fasting also gives your mind time to process what it's consuming. So, Gumbo Fam, if you know the premise of this show, we are what we eat. And that goes for your mind too. What are you listening to? What are you hearing? What is feeding you internally, both physically and mentally? So, if you listen to something like this, shout out to you because we're not trying to feed you crap. Neither should you give your body, and you should love yourself enough to take care of it. Now, as my husband goes on this journey, I'm going to follow his lead into whatever he's learned from his nutritionist, because he want to tell y'all back in 2020 I was on a journey myself and he was snagging from that program. And to be honest, he took it and ran with it. And I'm going to do the same thing because I'm entering a new season and a new chapter. I want my body goals are not the same. You know what I'm saying? I want to reach heights I've never reached. Um, and so if we're going to commit to that and we're going to commit to living, we have to love ourselves. And part of it is loving who you were, who you are, and where you're going to be. And we don't know what that is yet. So I just thank you for coming on the Gumbo Pod. Thank you for learning with us. I love you, love you. I don't know if you want to have an exit message for the fans, but here you fans, fam. Yeah, I ain't no dang fans for the fam, but anyway.
Yeah, man. Again, just take it day by day. With the new year coming in, a lot of holidays coming up. You know, uh, one bad day won't destroy the work you put in for as long as you've been going. That's something I have to kind of always remind myself around these times. Like, hey, bro, Thanksgiving coming up. One day won't ruin the progress that you or the work that you put in. Uh, just don't fall into those bad habits. Continue in it. But yeah, anybody, man, if you want to start a journey, just remember, man, just keep one foot in front of the other. Uh, Always, keep guiding everything you do. Um, and just, man, just kill it. I know it's never easy. It's a tough road, but just don't give up on yourself and just work at it and just stay at it. Yeah, and I mean that's all I got, man. Look, I love y'all. I love Gumbo Fam, man. Y'all go check out my Instagram page, Scooter Fit. I've got a lot of like workouts, progress pictures. Scooter Fit on TikTok as well. I've even recently made a few videos about like substitute things we've made substitutes on how we eat. And it is people think buying healthy food is high, bro, and it's not. You just have to look for things and just modify it your way, But yeah, that's about it, man. Just like I say, just keep it one day at a time. Enjoy these holidays. Don't let the first of the year catch up with you. If you're on a journey, just keep going one day at a time. And you put the work in, the work will show up.
Peace. Love y'all.